The Empire Beneath the Sand, Part 3. The Age of Reawakening. When the old light stirs, the new world trembles. Chapter 1. The Pulse That Touched the World. 3 days after Elena Brooks returned from Egypt, it began. At 02:14 a.m. Pacific Time, instruments across the world picked up a frequency never before recorded, a burst of electromagnetic radiation repeating in perfect cycles of 88 seconds. The first to detect it was the Very Large Array in New Mexico. The signal wasn't random noise, it wasn't natural. It was structured, rising and falling in harmonics that resembled language. Within minutes, similar readings came from CERN's particle arrays, the Japanese Kagra neutrino detectors, India's deep space monitoring stations, Russian orbital telescopes, and then from something no one expected, the Earth's magnetic poles themselves. They pulsed, like a heartbeat. By dawn, the world's scientists were awake. By noon, the world's governments were afraid. Chapter 2. The Silent Containment. In Washington, D.C., a secure conference room beneath the Pentagon flickered with satellite images of the Egyptian desert, now glowing faintly in infrared. A general leaned forward. "Is this extraterrestrial?" The NASA director cleared his throat. "We believe it is ancient, but not alien in the way you think. The energy signature is coming from a deep subterranean structure." Cho Min's people opened. The general interrupted. Elena watched silently from the end of the table. She had not slept. The crystal she'd brought back pulsed faintly inside its containment unit. Every pulse matched the global signal. She finally spoke. "It's not just a signal. It's a wake-up call. Whatever we touched in that chamber is communicating with something older than our civilizations, maybe older than humanity." The room fell silent. Chapter 3. The Desert Trembles. At the excavation site, seismic sensors screamed. The ground beneath Gebal el Mouth cracked open in a perfect circle nearly half a kilometer wide. Dust erupted like a volcanic plume. Something metallic glinted far below, a massive ring engraved with the same 8-rayed symbol. Archaeologist Omar Saif whispered, "It wasn't a tomb, it was a door." Then the sand collapsed inward. A shockwave rippled through the desert, and the entire ridge began to sink. Chapter 4. The Return of Keperenakh. At NASA, the crystal suddenly ignited with white-gold fire. Elena staggered back as light filled the room, coalescing into a translucent figure. Not fully formed, not like the first time, more like a flicker, a memory struggling to manifest. A voice, soft as wind across stone, spoke. "The sun below rises. The old cities will wake. Prepare the path for the light-bearer's return." Elena whispered, "What do you want from us?" "To see if humanity still remembers the first light." Then the figure dissolved into a cascade of sparks that sunk into the crystal. The Pentagon demanded answers. Elena had none. Chapter 5. The Lost Map of Fire. Meanwhile, in the British Museum, a quiet incident unfolded. A forgotten papyrus, catalogued under Late Bronze Age Unconfirmed Origin, suddenly vibrated within its climate-controlled case, and the ink, faded for centuries, reappeared. The script was ancient, even older than hieroglyphics. A curator read the translation aloud, trembling. "4 halls of the sun lie beneath the earth, east of Sinai, west of Thebes, under the sea of reeds, and beneath the mountain of death. When the eighth light awakens, the sky shall open, and the children shall rise." News of the papyrus was immediately seized by intelligence agencies, but a digital copy had already leaked, spreading across secret academic networks. The world's hidden scholars began to whisper again. The children of Ra were real. Chapter 6. The Awakening of the First Hall. Satellite imagery revealed a new thermal anomaly in the eastern Mediterranean, just off the coast of Alexandria. A circular structure, 300 meters beneath the sea, began to glow. Marine geologist Hana Kuri was the first to arrive by submarine. As her craft descended through the dark water, a giant metallic door came into view, identical to the one in Egypt. Something inside it rotated. A golden beam shot upward through the ocean, piercing the surface and scattering clouds in the sky. Ships miles away felt the blast, electronics fried, compasses spun, and along the coast thousands of people saw the beam and fell to their knees in awe or terror. Hana whispered, "We're not alone in this world anymore." Chapter 7. The World Divides. Governments panicked, religions fractured, militaries clashed in the shadows. 3 factions emerged. The Keepers, scientists and historians who believed the awakening was a chance to understand humanity's origins and avoid repeating ancient mistakes. The Shield, a global military coalition convinced that the children of Ra were a threat that must be contained or destroyed. And the Sunborn, a growing cult that believed the ancient beings were gods returning to reclaim the earth, and they sought to accelerate the awakening. And in the center of this rising storm stood Elena, the only human who had ever directly interacted with Keperenakh. The crystal's warning. That night, Elena dreamed again. But it wasn't a dream. She stood on a shore of molten gold, staring at a sky split by twin suns. Cities of radiant metal floated on the horizon. Then the vision turned dark, flames consuming the world, oceans rising, mountains turning to ash. Keperenakh appeared beside her. "The last age ended in fire. Do not let this one fall the same way." Elena asked, "What is the purpose of the 4 halls?" "To guide, to warn, to remember. And when the 8th light rises, to choose." "What to choose?" she cried. The figure dissolved, and the world faded. She awoke with tears in her eyes, and a single word burned into her mind: ascension. Chapter 9. The Coming of the 8th Light. On the 12th night after the excavation, the crystal stopped pulsing. Then it began to glow steadily. Omar, standing in Cairo with a field radar, watched as a massive object moved beneath the sand, something deeper than the first chamber, something sealed for millennia. All across the globe, seismographs trembled. In the Pacific, in the Andes, in Antarctica. Something ancient and coordinated was awakening. The final signal transmission appeared across every scientific instrument simultaneously. Light rises in 8. 8 days, 8 halls, 8 awakenings. Then the world would face the 8th light, whatever it was, and the earth would never be the same.